I'm going back to bed for a second. It's Thursday, April 21st, day 34. A pleasant night, woken up by chickens and roosters. Got some big climbs the next couple days before I even think about getting into Irwin on Saturday. So, just gonna sweat and put the phone down. So I'm in about 4 miles after a big climb at the beginning. Now I can make time up because it's flat and downhill. And lo and behold, again, I don't want to speak too soon because the minute I say something, my knee starts bothering me again. But knee's feeling pretty good today, maybe because it's just a little warmer. Cold and drizzly when we first got up, and it was damp and dank getting up that mountain. I'm by myself right now this morning. Rewind and a couple kids from my hometown area in Massachusetts, a little north, but still you can tell they're New England. Good time last night, but I'm even gotten to the point where I'm not holding myself running downhill, kind of just going with the gravity, and my knee's comfortable enough to let me get to that point, which makes my knee better, I think, because now I'm not breaking all the time out of pain. So anyway, I don't know if people are thinking my posts are too short lately. I'm trying not to bore everybody with the details that I don't want to repeat myself every video every day. I'd love to be able to show you a bear, but there's a chippy. The noise that I heard the other night ghetto camping on the highway, it was suggested by one of my subscribers that it was a frog, which makes sense because although it was a solo frog, I didn't hear anybody answering him. It was just very strange. But yeah, a frog might have been it because I've seen a lot of insects and birds and didn't sound like either of those. So maybe it was a frog because we were in a marshland. Anyway, I'm trying to cruise. I want to get into Irwin by Saturday. I was originally just thinking of doing a resupply, but now I kind of want to do a zero because I hate going into town and just rushing in and rushing out. Motherfucker! Ah, fuck! I hate when I stub my fucking toe. There was my arch, spasming and fucking chorus with my toe. You know, I've had these ultra Lone Peaks 4.5 since I started, and I had probably 100 miles on them before I started. And the fucking laces only had one shoe untied once in 300 plus miles. I find that incredible. I'm being stalked by a chippy. Anyway, I see some people up here, so I'm gonna put the phone down, and hopefully I'll be making my way to Irwin, hoping to do 15 today and maybe 15 tomorrow, and I don't know. I want to get in there early. I hate stopping where I'm climbing or talking. I watched an interesting documentary once on reading the forest floor, and if you see a big bowl in the middle of the forest for no apparent reason, it's because a tree was uprooted. And if you see likewise a big mountain of rock that looks like somebody dumped a pile of dirt and gravel, it's called a pillow. And when that tree rots away over however many decades, you'll see a pile of dirt that looks like somebody just started to drop some dirt there and then left. So we got I forgot that's called a bowl or a hollow and a pillow. And I'll try to find one for you that's been decades gone. See, this might be an example right here. See, it looks like a little bit like somebody threw dirt down, but I'll try to find a better example. And this might have been the tree that came up. Really hard to tell. But we'll try to find a bit of evidence in between where you can see what's going on. I passed one a while back, but I didn't think to film it. Here's a really good example. That was likely the tree that fell, and it's well beyond rotting and having its roots decay, and it's left behind this pile of dirt that looks like somebody was working in a gravel bank. And you can see this bowl or depression where the roots were likely. So the tree fell from my right to left. And now sometimes you'll see this sometimes it'll be so far gone that there'll be no trees around, and right in the middle of nowhere you'll find a gravel pile that has washed and cleansed itself over the years through the rain and snow. And it literally looks like somebody dumped a couple wheelbarrows full of gravel. And I don't know, I find it interesting. Sometimes they can tell you what hurricane caused the trees to fall and what direction. There'll be a patch of trees in a place like this where you see a bunch of trees all leaning in the same direction, which they could tie to a certain storm. You can kind of see that here. So, you know, it's hard to believe that so many trees would be leaning from my right to left here, if had not been for some weather event. So I don't know, I find that interesting. I'll try to find a few other things that I learned watching that show on reading the forest floor. The other thing that's interesting around here is the lack of stone walls that you see in New England or New York. And this guy talks about it on his documentary about how I forget whether it was the 1800s, 1700s to 1800s time. Merino wool or merino sheep were imported from Spain or Italy or somewhere by the millions, and they raised them and used wooden fences for most of the time to kind of separate the flocks. And then when they deforested all the mountains in New England, they started clearing the fields with the rocks to create those barricades. And that's why there's thousands of miles of rocks in New England that remain there today and probably forevermore. And in certain areas you'll find pastures where there's no rocks because they cleared them to make areas for the sheep, and you'll find other pastures that are full of rocks that they use for livestock and grazing and such. So you can walk around the forest of New England and kind of tell the history and what was going on back in the 17 and 1800s. Yeah, I don't have all the details down, but it's just an interesting conversation. So while I'm wandering around here trying to make miles, I'll try to find some more interesting things to share with my Kafkuba channel fans. Here's another one, and oftentimes they'll get all mossy and covered with plants, and you'll just see this lump in the middle of the forest that doesn't necessarily look like a gravel bank, although you can see the evidence underneath. But it might be another reason why they're called pillows, is because they're often covered with moss and stuff. Now, another interesting thing is when these logs fall, over time they'll grow moss on them. And here's a good example. And moss and plants and ferns and eventually they'll decay, and you'll find on the forest floor this long lump of dirt that used to be a tree. And they're very soft and a host for all kinds of plant life. The cycle of life. Great example right here. Headed to Sam's Gap after 3 climbs this morning. Ooh, can't video and twist my ankle. Coming into Sam's Gap, I'm tempted to get on a hitchhike and get into Irwin, but I'm gonna cross the gap and then climb. I hate gaps, bone crushing descents, and then as soon as you get to the bottom and you think you're somewhere, you're climbing back up a mountain again. Sometimes there's trail magic, but even though I'm grateful for that, there's still a nightmare that awaits you. I used to like gaps. Oh, there's a part of me that wishes I was in my Jeep going on vacation. I just watered up in a mosquito hole at the base of this climb. I stiffened up, so that was a sweaty little ascent. And I'm making the decision, even though I didn't start till like 10:15, to push to Bald Mountain, and then hopefully Bald Mountain Shelter, which is almost 6 miles, 5.7 from here at 3:15. And it's through a bad weather section, which means I'm going to be scaling rocks and stuff like that. So we'll see. Okay, I'm at 13 miles for the day, and that's leaving at 10:15 after doing 22 yesterday and 16 the day before. None of this has been that easy. A lot of climbs. And I put myself in a situation here where I got to make Bald Mountain, then Bald Mountain Shelter, and my left knee is flaring up pretty good. It's only another 4 miles, and I have a couple hours of daylight. If I bog down in Bald Mountain, because it's got one of those bad weather bypasses, which usually means you're crawling through the ledges, that could slow me down, but there should be plenty of daylight. The weather looks okay. I just hope I don't run out of steam in knee, because it was getting pretty bad. Popped a couple more Advil. I gotta keep going. I just ran into a guy doing southbound. Shit, he's almost done. Shorts, little baby pack on. Young guy. And I saw he had 2 tags. So he's done the trail before, now he's almost done southbound. Made me feel like a big pussy. I asked if Bald Mountain was that bad up here. He goes, no, it's not bad. That's coming from a guy who's done the trail twice already, maybe more, who knows. As I'm limping along. Have mercy on me. Oh no. Is that where I'm going? Is that 2 miles? It does look like a bald mountain. Oh my God. 2 miles seems like so far. And then I gotta come down somewhere for a shelter. Oh no. I am gassed. Big Bald. Almost there. I can't linger. I have to get to a shelter. I left at 10:15 this morning. I've been hiking alone all day. I got the sense when I left Laurel Hostel that Rewind was going to take it slow today. He has to be in Irwin Saturday. We're staying at the same place, and I thought they'd catch me, but I was feeling good this morning. They didn't. And I want to get to Irwin early Saturday as possible. If not, look at the map tomorrow and see if I can get in late tomorrow. Where the fuck am I going? I don't know. I've been pushing it too much. I feel okay now. My knee is lightened up as long as I keep moving. And now I'm headed down to Bald Mountain Shelter, and hopefully that's not too crowded and there's a nice cozy place that's out of this cold for me. It is eerie up here, even though it's beautiful. You can feel that cold air in the Alpine region. Although it's kind of funny, it looks like a hayfield. Alright. Be a nice place to picnic and have a couple beers with friends and family, instead of just spending 2 minutes and hauling ass to the next dust hole. The knee's gonna be a challenge now that I'm going downhill again. All right, I'll shut up. This is an absolute first. Nobody at the shelter. And there's just one couple over there setting up. I hate to say it. It's kind of lonely, even though it's nice. How am I going to set up? Oh boy. This place looks like it's made for me. Right next to the bear trail.
So I'm at my first shelter that isn't packed. There's nobody in the shelter, and there's an older couple like 400 yards from me. And I just got into my tent and was playing around with my phone, and I heard that familiar crashing of a bear coming close to me. So I yelled, threw my light on, banged on the tent, and he kind of went away. And I hear him rummaging around every now and then, changing his course out there. I'm afraid I'm right behind the shelter in a nice spot in the tent, and he's probably making his usual pass to the shelter to forage around, and here I am. There's bears everywhere up here, and it's not my imagination. Good night.